जय जय परमात्मन् संस्मरामो वयं त्वां निजपरमहितार्थं कर्मयोगैकनिष्ठाः इह जगति सदा नस्त्यागसेवात्मबोधैः भवतु विहतविघ्ना ध्येयमार्गानुयात्रा वयं सुपुत्रा अमृतस्य नूनं तवेव कार्यार्थमिहोपजाताः निष्कामबुद्ध्यार्थविपन्नसेवा विभो तवाराधनमस्मदीयम् प्रभो देहि देहे बलं धैर्यमन्तः सदाचारमादर्शभूतं विचारम् यदस्माभिरङ्गीकृतं पुण्यकार्यं तवैवाशिषा पूर्णतां तत्प्रयातु जीवने यावदादानं स्यात् प्रदानं ततोऽधिकम् इत्येषा प्रार्थनास्माकं भगवन् परिपूर्यताम् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शांति। नमः सभाभ्य। I'm extremely grateful to the organizers, Swamijis, for giving me this opportunity to stand here and then share my thoughts on the individual transformation as the core of national life and Swami Chinmayanandaji's perspectives on this. So before I proceed, I would again like to offer my pranam to Swami Chinmayanandaji with a verse which I composed. Pranomi Swaminam Saumyam Chinmayam Chinmayanandam Sadgurum Vishwabandyam cha Swarashtra Hita Chintakam or Varenyam Rashtra Nayakam. So where from we have to think about this topic and then how this idea came to me, that while going through the vast literature of Swamiji, a clear framework of this individual transformation as the core of national life, it emerges. We have seen this reflected in the writings in the life of Swami Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, and many other spiritual masters, and what has been practically translated, what has been done as a lived experience in Swami Chinmayanandaji's life. So that is what is clearly expressed. Swamiji gave a lot of importance to this individual transformation as the core. So on one side, we have our individual life, but individual life, the quality of national life depends upon the quality of the life of the Rashtrangas. So, citizen is a word which we are using it, but better to use the word Rashtranga. So then we have a kind of deeper relation with our own Rashtra when we represent ourselves as Rashtrangas, not as citizens. So, what should be the quality of the Rashtrangas? If the individual transformation doesn't happen, then the national life will lose its own strength. And Swamiji gives a lot of importance to the civilizational continuity, the civilizational vitality, the strength, and the civilizational core essence. This needs to be a part of our life and education. Now, we don't need to talk too much about, like, we have NEP, we have, nowadays the buzzwords are NEP 2020, NCF, Vikasit Bharat, lot of talks go around, but this is perhaps what has been repeated again and again on this platform. This is perhaps for the first time we have a topic like this: spirituality, education, and patriotism. And again, I must appreciate and thank the organizers to have given a beautiful thought to it, that every day, every single day is dedicated to a particular aspect. First day dedicated to spirituality, second day dedicated entirely. So all the panel discussions, plenary sessions, keynotes, paper presentations are happening on that topic. All the participants are soaked in that single topic. And today is dedicated to patriotism. Okay. So the Rashtra Bhakti, Rashtra Seva, what has been the core of Swamiji's life. And then, if you look at, it is based on what? Do we need to create a separate curriculum for teaching? How do we understand this aspect, the civilizational continuity, or the civilizational vitality, or the civilizational ethos, separately? Today in the name of IKS, BKS, so all types of terms we have been creating and then talking about it in various forms. But here, Swamiji stressed that it can be done only by contemplating on the core essence of the Rishi tradition, what our Rishis have given to us. You go to the bookstall, you will find, like, Swamiji himself is an epitome of spirituality, education, and patriotism. You just look at him, you just study his biography. Even our Prime Minister, every time he meets to the students on Pariksha Pe Charcha, so he tells them that read the biographies of all great people. That is how a character is built. We do not inspire our students to read the biographies of the great people. So you go to the bookstall, you will find how many texts, all his books, maximum number of books are on the Upanishads, on the Darshanas, on Sanskrit, on everything that belongs to our Rishi tradition. Why he gave so much of stress to that? It is through that, because it is the outer expression or a record of the realizations of the masters. It is a record of realizations, what he has felt. And when you go through the commentary of the Gita, there are commentaries and commentaries, no commentary, he doesn't differ from the acharyas or the tradition of commentaries, the bhashyakaras, but he gives a different orientation to it. Every verse, if you read, say for example, I have elaborated it in my article which is published, you can go through it. Suppose you see that Krudhat Bhavati Sammoha, Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama, those set of verses. Here you have a chain presented before you. A psychologist will look at it from a different angle. A spiritual person will look at it from a different angle. But Swamiji looks at it like how this can, if this chain is not broken, if this chain is not broken, so how our restless desires, our restless, expectations and our attachment, it leads to disharmony and the destruction of our individual identity. And if it is destroyed, how it creates incoherence in the society, in the collectivity. So in his interpretation of the Gita or the Upanishad, he will always have certain aspect of the desha, certain aspect of the samaja, certain aspect of the collectivity, making it more practical. And in this framework of individual transformation to the national life, the quality national life, you first see how to transform the individual, where from it has to start. Today we are talking about the integration of Vyashti, Samashti, Srishti and Parameshti. This is a framework again given by Dindayal Upadhyaya ji. He first used these terms taking inspiration from the Rishi tradition. We talk about integration, but here there is something which has been institutionalized through the mission's work. This is an important task. When we talk about Vikasit Bharat, we talk about the economic growth, we talk about political stability, we talk about many other aspects, but we don't talk about the civilizational continuity, civilizational ethos, civilizational vitality. Swamiji gives a lot of importance through, this, how he has institutionalized these ideas and then made it an integral part of the life of everyone who is connected with this mission. So that is where lies the importance of Swamiji. Then the individual transformation by creating this awareness about ourselves, about an individual. So this individual identity has to be retained, because today we see this identity crisis. We don't ask this question. Our young minds, the young world doesn't ask this question, who am I? What is my identity? And this identity aspect is given a different orientation in the present system of education, in the present era, you can say. But here, the real identity, who am I? This self-realization is at the core of everything. And for that, we have to get into this core essence of Vedanta. And what is the premise of Vedanta? How it has been translated and applied to it? The core premise of Vedanta is that whatever lies outside me is nothing other than me. First statement. The second statement is that if I have to be in a relationship with what lies outside me, if I have to understand what lies outside me, I must know myself. And how do I know myself is the question. And this is where maximum effort, maximum contribution that you find of the spiritual masters, how they have helped us to understand ourselves. Without Atma-jnana, without knowing, because Atmanam Vidhi, Atma va are drashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya has been the core of our civilizational continuity, you can say. So this Atman has to be kept at the center. And when you say Atma-jnana, Atma-bodha, Swabodha, Swajnana, it doesn't mean that one has to retire to a place of isolation, in solitude, that one has to find oneself. But one has to get into that solitary space which is deep within ourselves. So unless and until we internalize, that is where Swamiji interprets this beautiful verse, one of the Mahavakyas of the Gita, where it says, Uddhared Atmanatmanam, na Atmanam avasadayet, Atmeva hyatmana bandhu, Atmeva ripuratmana. So Swamiji, while interpreting this, he says that, look, unless and until we internalize through the process of inwardization, we look within ourselves, we cannot deliver our projected, desire-driven, ego-driven self from all kinds of troubles that it faces in the world. Because all our crisis is because of this projected self, ego-driven self, this kartrutva bhava. Everything that we do, we attach this kartrutva, that I do. I am indispensable, that it is because of me it is happening. And this projected self of ours, ego-driven self of ours, desire-driven self of ours, this outer self is the root cause of all our problems. So, we have to internalize it. Inwardization, through the process of inwardization, we have to see the real self, where the kartrutva bhava becomes extinct. It is not me. It is just, I am just nimitta. And Swamiji has expressed it throughout, that how to transform ourselves from any kartrutva bhava to the nimitta bhava. So when we become the nimitta, it is through us the work happens. It is through us the work happens. This is where the journey has to start, and this is how our education has to keep this aspect at the center, the Atmajnana, the Swabodha. Otherwise we lose the Swatva. We lose the Swatva. And once the Swatva is lost, then the national life is disturbed. The collective life is disturbed. Our collective life, our, outer life, our collectivity, our national life has to be the expression of the inner life of the Rashtrangas. And this is where lies the importance of all our spiritual masters, and then how they have made it so practical by living that truth in their own life and translating into doable things so that anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. This is what is applied Vedanta. And then from this awareness, self-awareness, what it leads, this self-awareness will awaken something deeper within. This is called the higher intellectual awakening. And then from there we move towards a conscious collective life, the societal, national coherence that we'll have, the cohesiveness that we'll have. Then we have an integrated life, an integral life. This is the vision which has been provided to us. So then we continue cultivating this aspect in our life and education. And national transformation depends upon the individual transformation. This Swabodha, for the Swabodha, we have to get in contact with all that has been created by our Rishi tradition for ages together. And when we say this self-realization, again, we have to look at ourselves. Who am I? I have a physical existence of mind. I have a pranic existence of mind. I have a mental, psychological, and higher existence of mind. And I have a deeper spiritual existence of mind. All that we do, and this is the framework I understand from Sri Aurobindo, from Swami Vivekananda, from our Vedantic tradition, and from Swami Chinmayananda ji. This fourfold framework we have to keep in our mind, like whenever we are designing our curriculum, whenever we are designing a discipline for our own life, we have to see that how much understanding of myself I have, my physical existence, my pranic vital existence, my manomaya existence, my vijnanamaya existence, or my anandamaya existence. Can we design a curriculum? So this is what I will just share a little bit of a kind of curriculum that I have developed, and I am developing another set of textbooks based on this framework, so then our children can learn about our tradition, and this Atmajnana and the national transformation go hand in hand. So it is not to be taught in isolation. So the entire content in this framework, the entire content of a Bharatiya Jnana Parampara is distributed over these fourfold aspects. So when I talk about the physical aspect of ours, and I have to teach in the classroom or make the children aware of the Bharatiya Jnana or something about the Bharata, creating this sense of nationhood in the children, not isolated from, not a separate learning system, but integrated into the main learning system, where we have to see our pedagogical framework and the pedagogical philosophy is integrated into all that we do, but not in isolation, not value-based education. This is where, like I was invited into give an inaugural talk on in Delhi University, where they have created 40 value-based courses. So I spoke on that day that it is a sad situation today in Bharat that we have to teach Gita, Veda, Upanishad, Dharma, Sanskriti, Adhyatma as an add-on course, as value-based course. In our tradition, there was no value-based or add-on courses. All courses were value-rooted. So how do we bring this value-rooted idea into our education system? So here, you see, this is the value-rooted framework which I'm using in creating the content for Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. When I talk about the Bharat also, my Rashtra also has a physical existence of its own. Its sacred geography, its mountains, its rivers, its sarovaras, its tirthasthanas, its seats of learning, its temples, the entire, sacred geography, you can say. So how do I present it to the children through the textbooks? So then they become aware of their own physical existence and relate it to the physical existence of Bharata. I have my pranic existence, my emotions, my sensations, my vitality. The Rashtra, what lies outside, also has its own vital life, its economy, its policy, its governance, its bureaucracy, its art forms which refine the senses. So I put all the content related to it in the vital framework. Then as I have a Manomaya and a Vijnanamaya as existence of mind, the Rashtra also has a Mano and a Vijnanamaya. Its philosophy, its thought leaders, what they have contributed, its literary record, and its higher reasoning power. So whatever has happened in this tradition, for the Manomaya and Vijnanamaya, I club them together because Manas and Buddhi, they have to work together. So Mano and Vijnan together, and then you present the content related to that to the children in the Mano Vijnanamaya framework. Then you have the Anandamaya, the spiritual existence of mind. So everything that belongs to the spiritual tradition, our Rishi tradition, Rishi Parampara, the Adhyatmic content, our sacred text, you bring and introduce them under the Anandamaya framework. So this fourfold framework, and you can see it, how Swami Chinmayananda, when you go through the content that has been displayed, we don't need to create separate IKS set of books. It's already done for so many years, and it has been implemented. It is a lived experience, record of lived experience that is presented before us. We just have to adopt that discipline in our life, make it a part of, integral part of our life, then we have the national transformation of this. This is the idea of Swamiji, which I wanted to share, linking it with the little bit of work that I am doing, and then I seek your blessings, and thank you for inviting me for this session.